In this lesson, we're really looking at our modern food system, how it is today, and how food is produced, and how that way of producing food really affects our environment in terms of pollution, how we use our land and resources, how we use our water resources. So this really delves into factory farming, and we're looking at how animals are treated, living in close quarters, and all of the inputs that are required to make them thrive and produce either food or the byproducts of food for us. So we see the effects of such tight quarters and factory farming on the land. We see huge areas of land mowed down or cleared in order to be able to create a monocrop, which is when there's just one field of corn, one field of cotton, one field of soy, just one giant field of one crop being grown. So over the long term is the soils get depleted when you grow one crop only. In the past, when we were in more not factory farming and just growing food to sustain small communities, there you saw a lot of intercropping and farmers planting crops that kind of helped bolster each other. But we're seeing more and more in terms of the modern food system, this type of planting going out the window, and therefore to sustain those monocrops, you see a lot of pesticides and herbicides and fertilizers, all these chemical inputs going into the system. You see a lot of inputs is the point of this lesson. You see chemicals such as antibiotics and hormones into the animals, and then a lot of waste coming out from runoff. It could be runoff from those chemical inputs, and it could also be runoff from the animal's life in terms of urine and fecal matter, and that all comes back into our system as pollutants that can affect our waterways, pollutants that can affect our land, and just affect our environment as a whole. Then there's a huge system of processing that's involved, and so now we have processed plants and packaged goods and cans and bottles and all the packaging that goes into making food accessible in our grocery stores or wherever it is that we're buying food. They're always usually packaged in these one-use disposable items that then also go into our system, and we're filling up landfills, and we're having to ship our trash all around the world to figure out what to do with this. So the point is, in the modern food system, we're looking at a system that requires a ton of inputs, creates a lot of waste that we have to figure out what to do with. This lesson really helps the students investigate how their food choices can affect the environment in the long run, both in this immediate moment and in the long run. And trying to empower them is the goal of this lesson, as it brings together the whole module of food and the environment. This is the point where they can hopefully really bring it all together with your guidance and figuring out how they can be empowered and how their choices of what they eat actually matters beyond just them. So in the first day of this lesson, again, you'll do an overview, you'll show our quick Green Beetz video that goes over the teaching points of this lesson, and then a big discussion of what we just talked about. So with day 2 is when you're doing your activity, which is this input-output theater, where you have your students either you have printed off the forms of, somebody has, so you'll have groups of students where they have lists of inputs and lists of outputs. And what's happened really nicely in the past also is teachers have made this into an art project where different groups of students will kind of make the different scenarios. So you'll have some students that drew a factory farm, and some students that drew a regular non-factory farm, more of a traditional farm. Somebody has drawn a truck, and this represents transportation. Somebody has drawn airplane, again representing transportation. Somebody drew like a big building, which is a food processing plant. So you'll have these lists of destinations, and then you also have just a physical list of inputs, such as fertilizers, electricity, gasoline, chemical, pesticides, all of these things. And your student's job then is to take those inputs and decide where they go in the system. So the big goal again of this is just there's no really one right or wrong answer with the input-outputs activity, because everything again is so interconnected, and that you just want to get across the discussion and the knowledge that every choice we make and every step of the way of the food system, there's overlap and interconnectivity, and everything is a big giant cycle together, and has every choice and everything that we eat has some type of effect on us as individuals and the global community. After the activity, we end with, again, snacks and facts. We have a snack of the day and follow up really quickly, 4 to 5 questions of Test Your Noodle, where they earn their Green Beetz points to be able to use at the end for the fun farewell lesson.